just wouldn't go away. We'll move to this big one. In recent times, the spate of kidnapping across the country has been a worrisome issue to many. Many have said that our security agencies are overwhelmed and the spate of crime seems on the increase. For instance, in Lagos alone, in the last 2 months, there's been incidences of kidnapping across the state. The response time, they say, for some is slow, although effort only come to arrest the criminals after the crime must have been committed. I'm now being joined by a security expert, Mr. Oladende Ario. Good to have you join us this evening. You know, sometimes when we talk about the issue of kidnapping, it will seem as if, well, it's getting out of hand. Almost everyone, the priest, you know, the clergyman, religious leaders, traditional rulers, school children, everyone has been picked off the street or from their homes. Are we overwhelmed?
It began in the Niger Delta when people were abducted, especially foreigners then, in protest for the companies not giving them enough of whatever they wanted from them for being in their land. Now from abduction, which of course is forceful seizure of people against their will, we move on to kidnapping. Kidnapping, well, it's of two types now. It's either target kidnapping or random kidnapping. Target is when you have this specific person in mind and you go after that person. But in random, you just hit an environment or a community, a school or wherever, and pick people.
And that's what's happening now.
That's what's happening now. Just pick people, and then because of the demand for ransom, it makes it very bad. The last few cases that we've had, they are what I call aggravated kidnapping. Why? Because they involved loss of lives and injury, either to people who try to rescue the victim or even to the victims themselves. And it's, for me, as somebody hands-on, involved in all these things, it's very painful. I will use Isheri North area as an example. I used to live there before I left. The end there had no border, no boundary, nothing, no wall, no fence.
Was that what this, the Commissioner of Police was talking about when he talked about the porosity, and he also talked about how the area is?
Yeah, it's very porous because surrounding the area is the waterway, Ogun River, that also leads to the Atlantic Ocean. Okay? And you will see that the people who have been doing this are those, of course, who has their base in the Niger Delta. So they come through the waterways, they seize people, take them in there with boats or whatever, and then they are gone. It now becomes an issue. After the first event, I had thought that they will position a naval patrol team there. Okay? I mean, because if they do that regularly, the kidnappers or intending now will know that the area is no longer safe. And even if they want to come and operate, they will think twice. But what do we have?
Mr. Ario, tell us what exactly we're not doing right. Because I think you're spot on when you said after the first one would have thought that some kind of proactive measures would have been put in place. But look at what has happened in Kaduna State. Some foreigners, some Germans have been picked from their work site. Look at what has also happened in Ekpe, to the extent that some of those local security people keeping watch over the farmers were equally kidnapped.
So, two of them were taken away.
What exactly should we be doing now?
The Kaduna case was very painful. Those guys have been there for over 10 years. I would have expected whoever brought them to Kaduna State to have been forward-thinking enough to know that being whites, they have kidnap value. Okay? What I call kidnap value. So for that purpose alone, they should have stepped up the security around them. And that it's a bad laxity on their side. Now, on the Isheri North area, Ekpe and other axes that have links with water, like I said earlier on, they should have been naval position, naval police, all of them around the area. Remember what they did during the Arepo issue?
You know, sorry to cut you, if you look at what's on the TV now, these are, you know, vehicles, police vehicles, and these are all riddled with bullets, and many are asking how well our own police or security agencies, how well can they combat the firepowers or withstand the firepowers of these kidnappers?
Again, that's a problem point. You just remember that lately, a container of over 600 fresh arms, okay, were intercepted after having been discharged from the ports. You and I cannot determine how many more such ammunitions are in the hands of the wrong elements on the street, and they put them to use. Unfortunately, they have superior firepower against our policemen.
Did you say superior?
I am saying that superior power. Now, over time, this has been the trend. One would expect that by now, the police or the agencies will have started their game, knowing that they are faced with more deadly opposition. People who don't care. They are in it for a purpose. They have the determination to even die if it comes to that. And that's why when you confront them, they have to kill. To that extent, they should change the game. Okay, whatever attention they have on the ground now should have been redrawn. And then change the game plan, whereby when they know that they're going to be facing a more superior police force with greater firepower, they will think twice. But what do you have? You find them hitting our policemen, killing policemen, even soldiers killing them, taking away their guns. Still the same AK-47 all over.
Before we leave, very quickly, I think this looks like it's coming back to the table of the government. It comes to the question of funding for our police.
Over the time, we've always had increased funding for policemen and for other agencies. But if you follow the trend of what we've been reading in the new media lately, such funds have been stolen or misappropriated, but of course diverted and not used for the purpose for which they were meant. So for as long as we are having these cases, we will continue giving the criminals the field day.
So how do we get out of this mess?
Number one, they should change their security architecture to raise the level of their ammunitions, okay, whereby the criminals will know that before they fire one, the police can reply with 3, 4, 5 or more. And of course, they should be more proactive. There are places now that we have identified that black spots for kidnapping. As I'm talking to you, there is nobody around the waterways in Cherry North. So don't be surprised that tomorrow morning you will read again that they've operated in that area. People living there, a lot of them have left their houses, hanging around with people who are living in hotels. For how long? And security is yes, everybody's business, but the government takes the bulk of responsibility of funding. I can't fund security for my area, for instance. Only government has the resources to do that. But they're not doing it well enough, I'm afraid.
Mr. Olade Ndiario, many thanks for speaking with us on State of the Nation this evening. And before we leave, something that we will also be asking these of the government is what exactly is the budget for the police stations now? We're looking at the pockets of police stations that you have in your locality. Who takes care of them? How much is given to each police officer or DPO to really fight crime? Do they have a budget? Do they have an impress? Who does all of that for them? I think these are some of the questions that we should be able to bring the police chief to come talk more on State of the Nation. Many thanks for watching.